I can listen to you and I can touch and still listen, right? I can look around and still listen. I can smell and still listen, but I can't listen to you and think. It's really interesting. It's if I try to listen to you and you start thinking about that, yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, well, if you look at this, right? And then I think about the notion of there's some videos and things I've listened to that I've gone back over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
If you think about it, to fully listen is to fully let you think the thought and fully being obedient to the thought. Now, if you look at for some thoughts, what it takes to be able to think that thought is actually, especially when you get into philosophy and religious and these kinds of thoughts, right? In order to think the thought, in other words, to listen to you, right? Some of these thoughts require me to step on a completely different presupposition, right? It rests on a different ground that I'm not on, such that, like, when I try to think it the first time, I watch it the first time, I'm like, oh, I can sense an otherness there, a moreness there. Something's good there, but I don't quite get it. So you listen to it again, you listen to it again, and at a certain point, and this is where I think listening becomes transformational, right? Is that like at some point in order, you're able to like step on a different presupposition, right? That allows me to, oh, then think that thought, right? And if you start changing your presuppositions, you start changing everything, right?
Yeah.
Like you change the way that you perceive. And one of the things I've noticed, and I talked about this with John, this is part of our ongoing text dialogue. I had done an interview and the person sent me the recording earlier. And I don't think we talked explicitly about John or our conversation, it's just a little bit. And I listened to it and I was listening to it. I was like, oh, whoa, I said that in a way I've never quite said that. And I saw the impact of these conversations I've been having with John and not what I was necessarily saying explicitly, but how the perspective I was coming from. And I didn't recognize it until I listened to it again. And so I texted him. I was like, hey, listen, like I'm seeing the impact of our conversations on how I'm seeing. If you change, it's funny when you think about it. If you start to change how you see, how you listen, how you think, how you perceive, now you're talking about your whole, the way that you meet the world, the way that you act.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm getting the sense of, oh, whoa, in so many different ways, like listening to people like you, John, and all the different conversations that I'm involved in, I'm being very impacted, right? Through, in a certain sense, hearkening, right? And what it takes to hearken